Hello students, welcome to economics class. The last time we did a summary of the first chapter. Today we will start with the second chapter, that is sectors of the Indian economy. So in this we are going to learn what are the sectors of the Indian economy. We will understand the significance of the service sector in the Indian economy with its context of contribution to the GDP and employment. We will understand the meaning and nature and features of the service sector, the role and growth of service sector in India, independence and comparison of all the sectors. We will also identify the changes and the challenges for raising employment in India. So, different people perform different activities to earn their livelihood. Some people are engaged in agricultural operations. Some are engaged in transportation. Some are engaged in education. Some in health. Some in banking. Some in insurance, communication, hotel, government, administration, armed forces, maintenance of law and order. So many things that different people are differently engaged in. All these economic activities can broadly be classified into three major groups, all on the basis of their common characteristics. If you look at all these pictures, you will see that these are pictures of people engaged in various activities. Some of these are activities producing goods, some others are producing services, and these activities are happening every day all around us, every minute, even right now while we are speaking. What do you understand of these activities? They're all done for economics to earn a livelihood. So, can we group them or classify them? We can using some criteria. Okay, so when you will divide or classify these activities based on any criteria, those groups will be called as sectors. Now, you can classify these activities on three criteria: nature of the activity, its ownership, or its working condition. If you classify it according to the nature of the activity, it will be classified into three sections, three sectors: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. If we classify those economic activities on the basis of ownership, it will be public or private, depending on who is owning the particular activity. And if we divide or classify economic activity based on the working conditions, it can be organized or it can be unorganized. If we classify it based on ownership, we know it's public and private. The public is the kind of ownership where most of the assets and services are owned by the government. It provides the services which individual owners cannot provide to its citizens. So government will raise money through taxes and other ways to meet the expenses on the service rendered by it. So if you're doing construction of road, if you see your road is broken under your house, you're not going to go and repair it or call someone to repair it. Yes, so these kind of services can be not be provided by an individual citizen. So these kind of services are provided by the government. That is construction of road, harbors, generating electricity, providing irrigation through dams, etc. And in private sector, this is the sector where the ownership of assets and delivery of the services is in the hands of private individuals or companies. They are guided by the motive to earn profits, and to get such services, we have to pay money to the individuals or companies. Tata Iron and Steel Company, Reliance Industries, all these are some examples of the private sector. Then it's classification of sectors if you do it on the basis of employment. If we do it on the basis of employment, it's organized and unorganized. So in organized, it is a sector where the terms of employment are regulated and employers have a assured job. That means nobody can take that job away from them. They are registered by the government and they have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in the various laws. The employers also enjoy security of employment and they are expected to work only a fixed hours of employment. They enjoy several other benefits like paid leaves, paid holidays, provident fund, pension, medical benefit. All these are given to the employer, all to the employers of the organized sector. Example is government teacher, government officer, government police, anything related to government or anyone who is working in the organized sectors, even private companies, even teachers in school or people working at good firms, they all fall under organized sector. So in the unorganized sector, what do we have? We have people in this sector. The people in this sector do not have any assured guarantee of their job and they are out of government control. These people do not have any assurance to their job and even government cannot interfere. They do not have any fixed working hours. They do not get any extra benefit, no provisions for overtime, paid leaves, paid holidays, and they do not even enjoy a job security. They do not any formal terms and conditions for their, and they can be removed from their work anytime by their employer. Example, employers as salesman or saleswoman, your house help, your maid, the daily wage workers, all these people fall under unorganized sector. And then comes the sector which can be divided on based on the nature of the activity or based on the nature of the economic activity. So if you classify the economic activities based on the common characteristics, then they will be divided into three parts: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. These are the main groups of economic activities. Primary sector. This sector will include all activities that are undertaken by using the natural resources. So when we produce a good by exploiting natural resources, it is an activity of the primary sector. We have agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fishing, poultry, farming, mining, all these fall under primary sector. This sector is also known as agriculture and related activities. It forms the base of all the other products that we subsequently make. Initially, in all the countries in the initial stages of economic development, primary occupations remain dominant. But as the country will head towards economic development, proportionate share of these occupations in the national economy will start getting diminished. So in the initial stages of developing our economy, we have lots of primary sector occupations. Later, they will get diminished. Since most of the natural products we get from agriculture, dairy, fishing, forest. This sector is also called as agriculture and related sector. These are some examples of the primary sector: agriculture, dairy, fishing, and forestry. Secondary sector, these are activities in which natural products are changed into forms through ways of manufacturing. Okay, and that is why it is associated with industrial activity. The product is not produced by nature, but it has to be made, and therefore some process of manufacturing is essential. This sector gradually becomes associated with different kind of industries that came up, and so it is also called the industrial sector. So this sector includes various manufacturing activities which are performed in the factories. It includes all the types of industries: small scale industry, cottage industry, large scale industry, and it is also known as an industrial sector. This sector adds utility to the products that are made by the primary sector. So example, if cotton is made by the primary sector, cotton is the primary product produced. Manufacturing sector will add utility to cotton by converting it to a cloth form. Okay, so if mining is the primary activity and we have extracted iron ore, okay, converting the iron ore to steel will be the secondary sector activity. Finished steel will have more utility than iron ore. So you can say that the manufacturing sector adds utility to the primary products. This sector is more developed in the developed nations and is less developed in the underdeveloped nations. Next, we have the tertiary sector. Now, it is also known as a service sector. The activities that help in development of primary and secondary sectors, they fall under this sector. These activities by themselves do not produce a good, but they are an aid or a support for the production process. Transport, storage, banking, communication, trade, etc. These activities generate services rather than goods, and so it is also known as a service sector. It includes all the activities that are helpful in the production process of the economy. These activities generate services for the people engaged in primary and secondary sectors. Service sector includes services like transportation, telecommunication, banking, insurance, trade, storage, communication, travel and tourism, courier services, consultancy services, legal services, information and technology, advertising agency, media, real estate, marketing, ID services, etc. Service sector also includes certain services which are not directly helpful in the production processes, but they are very essential for the development, comfort, and good quality of life. So we also require service from doctors, teachers, security people, creche, old age homes, beautician, designers, boutiques, domestic service providers, repair people, hotel, resort, travel agencies. So these all will also fall in the tertiary sector, which is also called as service sector. In line with the global trend, the service sector in India is growing rapidly. India has emerged as a service-led economy. Service sector in India is contributing more than half of India's gross domestic product, GDP. Okay, so these are also some other activities that are included in the service sector. Although these are not directly helpful in production, but they're very essential for a comfortable and good quality of life. Economic activities, though they are grouped into three different categories, they are all highly interdependent. If the farmer made sugarcane and refused to sell it to a sugar mill, what would happen? There would be no conversion of the product, and so it would not lead to an economic activity. Different sectors of Indian economy, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary, they are all interdependent on one another. Interdependence of different sector means that either one sector is selling its output to other sector, or one sector is purchasing inputs in the forms of goods and services from other sector. Output of primary sector becomes the input of secondary sector. In other words, primary sector gets market for its produce by selling it to the secondary sector, and at the same time secondary sector is getting its input from the primary sector. Similarly, service sector is helpful to both primary and secondary sectors as it provides services to both these sectors. Primary and secondary sectors are dependent on service sector for essential services like transportation, banking, insurance, communication, storage, trade, etc. Development of primary and secondary sectors is just not possible without these services. Similarly, primary and secondary sectors create demand for the service sector. Because of the demand by primary and secondary sectors, the service providers are able to sell their services. Interdependence of various sectors is very, very important. So the primary sector will produce things using natural resources, and these products will change into other forms in the secondary sector, while the tertiary sector will help in the development of both primary as well as secondary sectors. All these three sectors are interdependent on each other. With this, I'm going to end today's class. These are some questions that I want you all to write in your notebooks. Explain the differences between primary, secondary, and tertiary sector using examples. The activities in the primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors are independent or interdependent. What is primary sector? What is secondary sector? And what is tertiary sector? Define all three. And what all does the tertiary sector include? With this, I end today's class. Please stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning.